Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you, and a very logical weekend to all of you. So, here we are with the first editorial of the Indian Express, May 6th, 2023. And I hope you have gone through the previous ones, and if not, kindly complete them by Sunday so that you are ready for the next week. So, here we go. Manipur needs peace. Very simple heading. But what can be assumed here, or rather, what can be inferred? That the conditions in Manipur are not as peaceful as would have been, as they should be. This is what we can understand. So, Manipur is back on the boil. See, the first thing was the same. Back on the boil means it is not peaceful, it's boiling. With its multiple fault lines coming alive. The center has done well to step in and take over security of the state. It invoked Article 355 as the state government had failed to stem the violence raging in both the Imphal Valley and the Hill districts. To stem means to cut, right, to stop. The violence raging in both the Imphal Valley and Hill districts. Chief Minister Viren Singh, already beleaguered by dissension in the party, has appealed for peace, but his administration has failed to rein in the mobs or negotiate a truce between the warring parties. The administration has failed to do something, right? And he is already beleaguered, means troubled by the dissension in the party. So, this is a situation, the present situation. And what is happening? So the center has stepped in, and according to the author, the center has done well. That means it is the right step that it has taken. So you can understand the first point of the author that see, this state of Manipur is on the boil, means not peaceful, right? The conditions are not proper, right? So the government has stepped in. Why is it not peaceful was discussed in this part of the paragraph, the middle part. Government has stepped in, and according to the author, the government has done the right thing to step in. Now, the immediate step is to enforce peace, crack down on the violent mobs without fear or favor, and that is not easy given the deafening grind of so many axes around the ethnic, religious, and geographic divides that have roiled the states for decades. Dekho, Manipur, as I said here, Manipur situation is not peaceful. Government has stepped in. Right now, what is the government to do? The step that it has to take is to maintain peace. वही होगा ना, it has to maintain peace, or it has to bring peace. Rather, उसे enforce word use किया है. गवर्नमेंट आ तो गई है, लेकिन उसे peace लाना होगा, and not easy. Now, this maintaining peace is not easy. Why? Because there are so many axes to grind. देखो ये एक इडियम आ जाता है, यू हैव एन एक्स टू ग्राइंड का मतलब होता है कि ये जो सिचुएशन है मणिपुर में, और फॉर दैट मैटर इन एनी अदर स्टेट ऑल्सो, वेर एवर इट इज, whether a state or a company or an organization, but if you have an axe to grind, मतलब कि तुम्हारा उस सिचुएशन से कुछ बेनिफिट बन रहा है या हो रहा है, तब हम बोलेंगे कि you have an axe to grind, right? So here also, in this particular situation that Manipur is facing or finding itself now, uh, there is a deafening grind of so many axes, right? So that means there are so many people who are maybe benefiting from this situation. And if the government has stepped in and it is bringing, or its target is to bring peace in that area, so it will not be an easy job. Difficult, why? Because ethnic, religious, geographic divides are there, and they have been there for many years, since Sikha stayed for decades. So this, all that I have written here, it's combined together will become the main idea of the first para. So here, if I underline it, The center has done well, right? What is to be done? Enforce peace, right? Why? Because the administration has failed to rein in, matlab failed to control, and this is not going to be easy. बस इतना काफी है. देखो, center has done well. It has to enforce peace, which is not going to be easy. तो यहां से start करें. The administration of the state has failed. So the center has stepped in. When it has stepped in, its force becomes, or rather, its task becomes to enforce the peace. This is not going to be easy. ये चार phrases हैं. देखो मैं 1 2 3 4 लगा देती हूँ. 1 इधर, 2 इधर, 3 ये और 4 ये. चारों को कंबाइन करके फर्स्ट पॉइंट, मेजर पॉइंट बन जाता है इस पैराग्राफ का. Then, the latest violence seems to have been triggered by a tribal solidarity rally against the Meiteis demand for scheduled tribe status. ठीक है, देखो ये लेटेस्ट अभी हमारे पास कितने आ रहे हैं ट्राइब और कास्ट सेंसस वाले. Seems to have been triggered by. Triggered word we have done many times. It means something that is starting or initiated or actuated. The Meiteis, mostly Hindus, are estimated to be over 60% of the population and inhabit the Imphal Valley. Hill tribes, mostly Naga and Kuki, are predominantly Christian and are designated as ST. Relations between the valley and the hills have always been fraught with the hill population accusing the Meiteis of political domination, whereas the latter fear loss of assets such as land and cultural marginalization. We have understood this word marginalization. Those people who are thrown to the margins, ये सोसाइटी के बाहर वाले एरिया में अगर इनको भेजा जाएगा, if this is the mainstream, the main society, they are thrown to the margins. मतलब वो मेन सोसाइटी में इंक्लूसिव नहीं होते हैं. इस चीज का डर है मेटीज को. Now, CM Biren Singh did well in his first term to address the grievances of the Meiteis against Delhi, withdrawing the AFSPA from parts of the Imphal Valley, starting a healing process. This is what the CM did. Right, in a society that bore the scars of extremist violence and encounter killings. So Singh has also reached out to the hill population by holding government meetings outside Imphal. However, a raw nerve was touched with the Kukis when the BP government ordered demolitions of what it termed illegal constructions on public land. So among the encroachments removed in the last few days were a few churches. ये problem हो गई. Right. So now you can understand from this paragraph that there's hostility between these two people. Who one is the Meiteis, that is mostly Hindus, and the other are the Naga and the Kukis, which are mostly Christians, predominantly Christian. Right? इन्हें ST हो गया, and Meiteis is also demanding for the scheduled tribe status. Right? So second part of the paragraph is telling us about what CM Biren Singh did. And then the step that the government had taken, and that was that actually brought trouble here. So now when we mark the important points, what do we get? That they are demanding for the ST status, right? Then they have always, the valley and the hills have always been fraught with. Always in fraught with means they are always facing problems. There are people, the population is facing problem whether it is a Metis or the Naga and Kuki. जो भी है इन दोनों के बीच में hostility है. That means they are afraid of losing something. Now or being sent to the margins. यहाँ पे लिखा है assets such as land and cultural marginalization. Then what the CM Biren Singh has done, and which is a good step, he has addressed the grievances, all that is given. But यहाँ पे आ जाता है however. So however के बाद उसे कहा raw nerve was touched with the cookies when the government ordered demolitions. So that means this is what they are unhappy with. So the Nagas and the Cookies are unhappy with what the BP has done or what the government has done, right? And what have they done? They have removed the encroachments, and in those encroachments were a few churches. तो एक नागा एंड कुकी की बात हो रही है क्योंकि वो प्रीडोमिनेटली क्रिश्चियन है तो चर्चेस हटने से उनमें प्रॉब्लम हो गई है. दिस इज व्हाट हैज बीन गिवन हियर. Tribal solidarity rally against the Métis demand for ST status. ये violence हुआ इधर. So incidents बता रहे हैं. Let us see the second part of this paragraph. Another point of contention. Contention means an issue. Between the valley and the hills was a campaign for an NRC in the state, premised on the claim that illegal immigration was changing the demography of the state. Illegal and immigration. Changing the democracy means how many people of what gender or what caste they are, ये सब और what age level they are, ये सारी चीजें होती है demographics में. तो जब इमिग्रेशन हो रहा है वो भी इलीगल तो ये सारी चीजें सारे कैलकुलेशन सारे इक्वेशंस चेंज हो जाते हैं. So the immigrants targeted in the campaign included people who share ethnic bonds with Kukis in Manipur escaping the Janta action in neighboring Myanmar. Unlike in Mizoram, this is a Janta action. So you have one word on which you need to read. This is Janta, or Janta, I'll tell you in the end, is not public. Okay. Now, unlike in Mizoram, where the Mizo National Front government has been sympathetic to displaced people from Myanmar, the Biren Singh government seems to be indifferent to the refugee influx in Manipur. Like most of the northeastern India is a patchwork of cultures, faiths, and ethnicities, many with a history of mistrust. लोग एक दूसरे पे भरोसा नहीं करते हैं. So political relations within the state and with New Delhi have to be managed and differences negotiated with tact. Mistrust है तो tact होना अब लोगों में जरूरी हो गया है. BJP has been smart in forming the Northeast Democratic Alliance to pursue electoral success. But for all the party's claims of containing extremist violence, these states, most of them now under NEDA governments, have had their flashpoints. So, nation building in the region continues to be a work in progress with communities in a restive state. New Delhi and Imphal have a challenge on their hands. They need to work together and with all the stakeholders. This becomes your major point. So, if we mark the important points in this part of the paragraph, we'll see there's another contention, right? And what is that contention? That illegal immigration is changing the demographic of that area, right? But the people who are coming in, they share ethnic bonds with Kukis in Manipur. Then why? Because they are going against the Janta action in the neighboring Myanmar. Then India is a patchwork of cultures. ये समझ में आ जाता है. BJP has been smart in forming the Northeast Democratic Alliance to pursue the electoral success. All parties' claims of containing extremist violence. These states, most of them, containing का मतलब होता है holding, रोक लगाना. These states, most of them now under NEDA governments have had their flashpoints. Nation building in the region continues to be a work in progress. ये तो चलता ही रहेगा. With communities in a restive state, New Delhi and Imphal have a challenge on their hands. They need to work together and with all the stakeholders. So here, violence must stop. That means peace should be maintained. Identities and fault lines negotiated with tact. ठीक है, negotiated का मतलब होता है डिस्कस करना, लेकिन उसको बहुत सही तरीके से करना पड़ेगा, टैक्टफुली करना पड़ेगा. And for this, the center has to, मतलब compulsion, translate political success into enduring peace. Political success जो उसे मिलेगी, धीरे धीरे इसको चेंज करना पड़ेगा. Enduring peace मतलब ऐसी शांति जो कोई कुछ लोग तो endure कर सके, मतलब सहन कर सके. This is what the center has to do. So you have three points we had come up with, and 3 points coming to a single sentence. Go on. Now you can see the words that we have understood. I have not written the meaning of many words. Understand why. I'll come to them. Beleaguered is a state that is struggling or in trouble or it is harassed, right? Then dissentment का मतलब होता है discord, disagreement. To leave your belief and go to another party. So that is dissent. Then roiled, shocked, agitated, ये पहले हम पिछले हफ्ते कर चुके हैं. Predominantly, you can understand primarily, mostly, chiefly. वो होता है predominantly. You have the word पहले से ही dominant. ठीक है, pre आता है पहले, तो पहले से ही dominant है वो, मतलब that is something that is first prime. Containing, they have contained the terrorist attacks का मतलब होता है उसको पूरी तरीके से रोक लगा दिया है. तो contain is to hold yourself. तो enclosing, encompassing, comprising कुछ भी हो सकता है. To hold. जैसे ऑयल कंटेनर्स होते हैं, ठीक है, तभी वो कंटेन वर्ड आ जाता है. टू होल्ड और टू लिमिट. Right. Now see what we have come up with are phrases. Right. Back on the boil becomes an idiom. Back on the boil is an idiom that again it has started creating disturbances. To step in, the government was right to step in. That means to intervene. To take over mainly responsibilities के लिए आता है. To take over somebody's position or somebody's responsibilities. To step in, take over responsibility के लिए आएगा. To stem का मतलब हो जाता है कट करना, curtail करना. You appeal for something. You crack down on the hooligans. क्रैकडाउन ऑन द हुलिगन्स का मतलब होता है कि जो लोग बदमाशी कर रहे हैं, जो पूरा माहौल बिगाड़ते हैं, उनको पकड़ना. क्रैकडाउन मेनली इनके लिए यूज होता है. जैसे कोई ओकेजन आने वाला है और उस ओकेजन के पहले पता है कुछ गड़बड़ होने वाली है, तो शहर में जितने वो रहते हैं एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट्स होते हैं, दे आर कॉट एंड दे आर पुट इनटू द प्रिजन. राइट. So there's a crackdown on those people. Failed to rein in means it is now not controlled. राइट. तो फेल्ड टू रेन इन मीन्स नॉट कंट्रोल्ड. और अगर सिर्फ रेन इन आता है इसका मतलब कंट्रोल होता है. सिर्फ अगर रेन्स आता है REINS, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? हॉर्स रेन्स समझो. राइट. वो जो लगाम होती है उसको कहते हैं रेन्स. फ्रॉट विथ मीन्स फुल ऑफ. एंड रीच्ड आउट टू, दैट मीन्स कॉल्ड फॉर, या उस तक पहुंचना. राइट. टू एक्सेस और टू call somebody, that will be reached out to for help. You reached out to your parents for help. ये हो सकता है. So that's all for today. And what you have to do, what I was saying earlier was that you need to read on Janta, right? ये Myanmar में है. This is again a form of a government, sort of, you can understand. ठीक है. And another one that we had done that day was uh, हाँ, एक बनाना रिपब्लिक पढ़ना. एक बनाना रिपब्लिक और एक जनता. These are the two things that you need to read on, right? So that's all for today, and I hope you'll complete all the pending work. And from next week, so next new, we'll start with something new. Let's see what we do. So that's all for today, and have a logical day ahead and a logical new week. That's all. Thank you.